But what's most significant is that it was built by the crew of the Constitution and presented to Eisenhower in 1812. It's, you know, the scale is a little weird, but if you look at it, there are certain details that we really like because it gets us as close to what we should. We mentioned tornado. This is the closest we can get to what it should look like. In 1812, so Marguerite was poring over this model with a magnifying glass, trying to get all the details of the ship of this period that they're incorporating in observations. It's a great, they've depicted the stern as it looked originally, of course, here with all the carving, the eagles, the liberty and justice reclining, and then, of course, the bow also with the scrolling billet. And other details that have just been incorporated back into the ship. And the waist here, the middle of the ship, prior to 2010, that was all solid. It had all been filled in with solid boulders. And during the last restoration, they took away all of that, took out 40 tons of wood, just like getting rid of that part of the railing, and reinstalled these hammock cranes there. The crew would, in the morning, take their hammocks over, they'd be stuffed in nettings along the top of the ship to get them out of the way. The other thing I really like about this model is it was used in some of these interstellar missions that were given in honor of Eisenhower as officers in Boston. Surgeon Amos Evans mentions in his journal, he said it was sitting right in front of the president of the dinner chair, the model for the Constitution with the mast fish reinforced and the colors flying just as they did in the battle. Apparently it was used in another party later on. Probably after many toasts, somebody tried firing the guns, the story goes, and set the model on fire. And apparently it was prepared by British prisoners of war. And I think the Peabody Essex Museum still has a receipt for that was prepared.
And the billet head that's in the front of the Constitution today, she's carried two billet heads, depending on whether or not we're in peace or at war. Now she simply carries the peacetime one, which is the star. Sort of. Okay.
There's been many different billet heads on the ship. The peace and the war was really the blades and
But very originally, she actually didn't have a billet head at all. She had a figurehead, which you can see the figurehead here. Ours was Hercules carrying a document in his hand. Oh, what document? Would be not the Magna Carta, not the Orders of Council, the Constitution. Right. So he's carrying a Constitution, and that gets. We actually have one painting, that's the one that's on stamp that was released in the bicentennial, that depicts this big figurehead, and it's really hard to see.
Guess who did the painting?
Guess who did the painting? Not George Rose, but
Tomato guy.
It's the earliest known image of the USS Constitution, and that is in our collection of the USS Constitution Museum. So we had some model folk look at it as carefully as possible and try and recreate that figurehead in the planes and get a miniature model of what, you know, we only guess to be that Hercules with Constitution is rolled in his hand. And that was actually Margaret was right.
Yeah, the president. The other thing about that figurehead, which I think a lot of people don't realize, is he's standing on a lion. And I don't know, but I think the Federalists maybe keen on that.
Can you tell me this? I always tell my groups that I know of the art, I know something about ships, but I'm never all that good at reading what piece of wood goes where. But the thing in the front that's like this, that's unusual, or?
It's unusual to have a split one, a double one. It's called a dolphin strike or a martingale. And what it does is it gives you some extra room to provide tension to the end of the bowsprit, so you don't have it flopping up and down. Most ships only had a single one coming down, and for some reason, Constitution, most of her career, had a double one, and it's always been a kind of
interesting thing. After I did the tour 2 weeks ago with this group, I was in a hotel in Maine, and they had curtains with all stuff about the Constitution. So I looked at them and it had the double. So I said, okay, that's accurate for the Constitution. So this is the lunching block that was used for the launching of the Constitution. And so it sits there nice and has a lot of luck. So what you can do now, I encourage you to walk around and picture. If you can picture this place with lots of cases in the center filled with all kinds of things you're seeing in these sonic cases, that's what this museum was really like back in a lot of the 1800s. Just a few things to point out. These are all maritime paintings done by Chinese artists of Western ships. So sometimes they were artists that had made other locally and it's artists. The figureheads have come into the collection. We've actually got one that's being worked on now, demo in conservation for quite a few years. But most of these date in the late 1800s. And some American ships, some were Canadian ships. Anything you want to find out about, there are no labels as you noticed in here. And there's a touch screen, which I can show people as you walk around. So feel free to explore around in here, and then we'll just wrap up. Well, it's almost time to wrap up anyway. So take a look around, and in about 5 minutes or so, I will...
There's one other thing you did.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to point out, because it's a fabulous story. You go to that case over there on the bottom, which is a sketch, and it's the number 126. That was a calendar stitch that was kept by a sailor who shipwrecked on another island for 3 years. The guy's name was James Brown. He was named Constitution.